think the most pivotal moment was switching from corporate to having my own business. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, like that big family I just told you about. My father, all of his brothers, my grandfather, they were all entrepreneurs. So I've always had a little bit of it buried in the DNA, and making that choice and putting myself out there in a very different way, having the support and seeing the support from my husband and my kids, celebrating my successes, I think that has been probably the biggest pivot of my life. I'm hoping to have one or two more before we call it a day, but that's probably the biggest pivot and one I'm super.
Welcome to A Founder's Life. I'm your host, Leo Gestetner. My guests and myself share our entrepreneurial journeys and our methods for a balanced life. I'm joined here today by Rachel. Thank you for joining us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hello from my side of the world. My name is Rachel Platt. I am the founder and CEO of Platinum HR Consulting. We work with small and mid-sized organizations that are looking to move beyond HR compliance, day-to-day, and policies, and really into the leadership aspects that create a great culture, a great work environment, a more profitable environment, but really a place where employees can thrive. So
And what does
happy to
a
be here.
typical customer look like for you?
A typical customer is, we have kind of three big buckets. One, I have an extensive public accounting professional services background. And so that is my bread and butter by experience. And I love that population. By heart and where I am at this place in my life, I also have a tremendous number of not-for-profit clients. And then crossing both of those industries and out to the much broader B2B world is I do a lot of M&A related work in the people strategy space. And so that can really be any sort of organization with employees that is going through a transition or transformation, and how they deal with change, how they plan, how they bring their people on board. And that is very industry agnostic.
Seems like you've got a good mix of clients, so it keeps your day a little varied.
It keeps my day very varied. It's never boring. Though people issues tend to be this very similar, back from my days in, large Fortune 500 companies to now organizations that are, 30 employees or 300 employees. Humans are interesting. They bring their quirks to work with them. Not all managers are well trained in being good people leaders. And even those who are well trained, it's not always the right fit for everyone's skill set. And so finding those, there are many, many similarities. As much as you need to customize for each industry, there are many similarities across countries, across size of organization. Um, People are very interesting and they keep us on our toes.
And I think the same patterns repeat. I often say to people when I'm sort of giving some HR advice to employees is, those issues you're seeing at work, you're probably seeing at home, even if you're not noticing it, because we all do the same.
Yes. Yes. Conflict avoidance, struggling to communicate what your needs or desires or expectations are, giving feedback, meeting deadlines. Yeah, those tend to be challenges. Setting and holding yourself accountable, setting goals, holding yourself accountable. They definitely go in all aspects of our lives.
And what brought you to where you are today on a sort of your work journey?
Well, I spent 20 some odd years in corporate HR. I worked with very large organizations as well as some startups and some smaller organizations. Um, and I found that once I reached the pinnacle of what is supposed to be an HR leader's career, being a chief people officer, the reality was I hated the job. Uh, I felt a little bit like a politician. Um, I wasn't interacting. I didn't feel like I was having the impact on individual people. And I decided in 2018, it's time. I'm going to start my own organization and do what I do best, which is working on a more personal basis, really being able to communicate and create solutions, being creative from all of these different backgrounds that I bring, which is pretty unusual for an HR professional, particularly someone who did not jump around from job to job. Just within the nature of the organizations that I worked with, there were just so many different opportunities where I was exposed to so many different cultures, different aspects of HR, um, that I'm really now able to put into place for Platinum's clients and making sure that they, um, let's just say they don't make all the same mistakes. I do my best to make sure that they don't make all of the same mistakes, as many as we can avoid. We really try based upon some of the learnings that we're bringing to the leadership teams.
Makes sense. We've all made plenty of mistakes, so if we can help other people make a few less mistakes, that's
Yeah.
we're on the right path.
Or at least know, like, you can make any decision you want to make, but consciously make that decision based upon data. Don't just like fall into a decision. That's what I try to bring to.
Nice. And what does family mean to you?
I think that's actually like the biggest question of life, isn't it? What family means to me. I am probably one of the luckiest people. Um, I was born into the right family. Generations worth of people who built their communities were broad, but family was always at the core. And I think that has been passed on to my own, nuclear little me, my husband, and my two sons. Um, some of my sister is my best friend. Not a day goes by that I don't communicate somehow with my parents. Just a few weeks ago, we had a family celebration for one of my cousins and her kids, and there were 40 some odd of us there. Everyone came from across the country to be there for each other. And just having that kind of support, that kind of love, that kind of upbringing, um, I know how lucky I am. I hope my kids one day will know how lucky they are to be surrounded by cousins and aunts and uncles and great aunts and great uncles and this one and that one. And we can't even tell who's a first cousin and who's a second cousin and who's a third cousin 4 times removed. It doesn't really matter. Um, and I know not everybody is lucky enough to have that. And I think we're doubly lucky because one of the things, my husband grew up very much the same way. And so you can't do anything with less than, I mean, our Thanksgivings are 45 people because everything's big. Everything's big. And that's just the way we roll. And I love it. I wouldn't want it any other way.
Well, and how old are the kids?
My kids, they're men. My men are now 23 and 20, and my older one is launching his own life, and it's amazing. But right now, this summer, it's the first time in 12 years they've been home, both been home for the summer, and it's amazing. But I have to tell you, I forgot how much food they eat. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, mine are 20 and 23. I think they're always the kids.
Yes. They're always going to be the kid. I'm still a kid. Aren't you still a kid, Leo? But to my
Yeah,
parents, I'm still a kid.
I certainly am a heart.
Yes,
Gotta be.
exactly.
That's what
Yes.
keeps you young.
So it keeps you young.
Keeps you healthy. Keeps you yeah. When you at the point that you think of yourself as old is when you are old.
Yes.
I think it's a rapid decline at that point.
I
You know,
mean,
it's
and
good to
I'm,
think of yourself as young at heart and
yes. I think it's also easy for me. Again, another area where I am super lucky is, my parents are very healthy. They are very active. My grandparents lived into their late 90s. My great grandmother danced at my wedding at 105. So like I still got a lot of years to be a kid because I have my parents. You're eh, you're definitely a kid as long as you have your
we got
parents.
some good genes there.
Yeah, there's some good genes. I hope I'm doing the right things to keep the good genes going. I hope.
Well, to be honest, that's not your problem anymore. It's your kids because you can't affect it.
Yes, that's
They've got
true.
their job to make sure that they pass on
Yes.
the right genes.
Yes, exactly. Good point. Good point.
And what's health mean to you? Whether that be physical health, mental health, nutrition, what's health mean?
Um, it's funny. It kind of goes along with what we were just saying with family. I think in part because I'm so fortunate to have longevity in my family. Um, I think about health in a very broad sense. Actually, at a milestone birthday, a friend and I sat down and we were just talking about like what does it mean to get older? Sounds so morbid, but it wasn't at all. And we kind of joked around about like what does health really mean? How do you define health? And we came up with health stands for the H is the habits that you have. Um, my habits include trying to eat reasonably healthy, but they also include eating a fair amount of junk food and candy because it makes me happy. Um, E is for exercise. A is for your attitude and your mental health and how you look at the world. L is for laughter and surrounding people that bring you happiness and doing the things that bring you joy. T was for thriving, and just like doing things that expand your mind, expand your body, surrounding yourself, just with good things that make you feel like you have a robust life. And then the last H was, we actually argued about the last H, but we decided that it was helping others, just being of service to each other, and to others beyond yourself. I think some of the other ones were like hugs and hope and hobbies and, some of those other ones, but like helping others. So that was our definition of what health is, having a really robust view of health.
I absolutely love that. Um, I think the helping others is certainly very important, but I think the hug's an important one. I was reading something the other day that there is a longevity relation to that physical touch, to regular hugs. So that there was some studies done, and there really is like a direct link to physical, to hugs, to holding hands, whatever it is you do with your loved one, and longevity.
So I don't know about that study. My goodness, I haven't thought about this in a long time. But during COVID, when we were in lockdown, and my younger son was doing, online school, his gym teacher, his PE teacher, their assignment was to give 14 hugs a day. Okay, now 14 hugs is a lot of hugs from a 14-year-old boy. I'm just going to put that out there. But the research basically showed that it improves your mental health, it improves your feeling of connection, and it improves your physical health. Um, I cannot recall because it was many years ago where it was from. I don't think we ever got to 14 hugs, but he would for a while walk around, and I used it as an excuse to be like, "Oh, have you had all of your hugs today? I guess I need to give you another hug." So it was good. It was good. So I'm sure your research is right. Whether that research, I remember he sent a report with it. Whether that research was right or not, I actually don't care. I liked it. More hugs
Perfect.
from the kids.
That's all that matters.
Yes.
That you loved it. And what do you like to do for fun?
Um, I like doing yoga. That's for myself. I like to travel. I'm actually heading tomorrow to the mountains, and a little hiking, a little whitewater rafting. I'm not like hardcore into any of these things. I like to experience different things. Go do, be surrounded by interesting things. Um, that's what I like for fun.
Perfect. And it sounds like you've got a pretty balanced life, but how would you say that a balanced life looks for you?
Does it change for you from day to day and over the years? Because I think that's how it works for me.
In my mind, people say, "Oh, there isn't such a thing as balance." I think there is because I don't believe that balance is perfect balance. I think it's what's that center line. There's some weeks or days that I'm working a lot more. There's other days I'm spending a lot more time with the kids, or I'm out doing much longer runs, or I'm doing a marathon, or you know, balance doesn't mean you're in perfect balance every day, but it's what is that overall balance.
I think for me, I agree 100% with what you're saying. I think for me, balance is actually about the ability to make the choice for how things go. Like I find for me, I tend to work a little better at night. And I find for me that I would rather do some work on Saturdays or Sundays or when I'm on vacation so that I just am catching up. Like that's balance for me so that I'm not feeling stress on the other side. It's not exactly as you said though. It's not every day. Um, but it's also a span of a long period of time. If you can find, some harmony in your life, it's not balance, maybe harmony is a better word for what I'm
Fair
looking
enough.
for. Yes.
Yeah, I think similar, although I'm definitely a morning person, not an evening person. I'm not productive in the evenings. I am up by 6 o'clock most days, and if I'm working in the evening, I'm just repeating the same stuff over and over because my mind is just not focused. So yeah, early mornings are much more focused.
I think it's by training, having an HR background in corporate, you know, all of the leaders were doing their day jobs. Um, and I used to find that 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock was when I could get everyone's attention to focus on the people strategy related portions of their job. And so I think over time, I just trained myself like I've got to be on starting then and going for as long as it takes. You, you flip.
What's been a pivotal moment in your life?
I think the most pivotal moment was switching from corporate to having my own business. I come from a long line of entrepreneurs, like that big family I just told you about. Uh, my father, all of his brothers, my grandfather, they were all entrepreneurs. So I've always had a little bit of it in, buried in the DNA. And making that choice and putting myself out there in a very different way, having the support and seeing the support from my husband and my kids, celebrating my successes. I think that has been probably the biggest pivot of my life. I'm hoping to have one or two more before, we call it a day, but that's probably the biggest pivot and one I'm super proud of.
Pretty big pivot. So
Yeah.
seems like, and it seems like it's working well. 7 years in.
7 years in, knock on, wood, knock on something. But yeah, having a good time, making an impact in the way that I think is important, and doing it with people whose values align. And I'm big on, let's put the outcomes first. Outcomes over egos. Like I'm not interested in playing all the games anymore. And so the ability to work with really smart humans who want to be good humans in the workplace, um, that's good work. I can be proud of that.
And one of my favorite things at the moment is in the no arseholes rule.
Yes.
Fired a client the other day, and he fired staff. Just life's too short to work with people you don't like. It doesn't mean they have to be my best friends, but I just don't want to work with people I don't like.
Yes. I mean, be a good human. I don't have to love everything about you. We do not have to be aligned on every good thing, but like at your core, be a good human. And then, we'll figure the rest out. But there are a few folks out there that I really wonder about their good humanness.
Yeah, we had a client a few months ago who is in his 60s, and there is no better way of putting it than the guy is a bad human. Honestly, I mean, there's no better way of putting it, and a complete asshole. Apologies for my
Yes.
language. My son said to me, "How is someone of that age still an asshole? Like, you might be in your 20s, but how are you at that point not learning to be a nicer person?"
We have to wonder about these people. We have to wonder. I mean, what is going on in their life? Who are they surrounded by? You know, don't they have someone who loves them enough to just call them out and be like, this is not okay? I don't know. Life's too short, as you said. Let's just do our best to not include those people in our lives, or give them as least amount of space as humanly possible.
Definitely. So, what is one piece of advice you'd give to an aspiring entrepreneur?
I listened to so many and talked to you about what was going to be in the podcast, but that is a question that I hadn't thought about. My one piece of advice I would say, based upon what I do, is that too many entrepreneurs wait too long to really identify what their values are and what values they want to be within their organization. They say to themselves, oh, I'll wait till I have 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 employees. But really focusing on what's important. Yes, your strategic plan. Yes, your objectives, all of that. But really what your values are makes such a difference in how you hire, how you assess your talent, how you define success. Um, and I would really encourage founders, leaders, entrepreneurs to spend time early on in their journey thinking about, and those can change a little bit over time, but really thinking about that as a foundation for their organization.
Great piece of advice. And how can people find you?
People can find me. I am on LinkedIn. I'm fairly active there, and I respond to DMs all the time. And people can also find me at my website, which is platinumconsulting.com. Platinum is spelled with two T's, like my last name. And so those are two great places to find me. And I look forward to hearing from anybody who wants to chat.
Well, thank you. It's been a great chat.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, tell your friends, and please leave a review.